Due to China's ongoing economic slump, many small businesses are struggling to survive under intense pressure.
工厂跑路了。
The scariest thing I heard today is that, in an area near me of about 1,000 square meters, 3 factories have already shut down. At first, I couldn't believe it, so I went to check for myself and found a closure notice in a nearby village. One of the factories even started moving out its machines quietly, likely without anyone noticing yet. The workers haven't been paid, but the boss has already left. So who's hurt the most? It's the workers. This is their hard-earned money. Suppliers and others connected to the factories aren't getting paid either. Every year, especially close to the new year, there's an increase in clothing factories shutting down.
Today, let's talk about the struggles of small factories. They're using machines worth millions, but only earning a few cents in profit per unit. If they upgrade equipment, they run out of money. If they don't, they lose orders. Bulk orders have low profit margins, and there's not enough work from long-time clients. Trying to attract new clients costs money. Even the samples cut into profits. They want to pivot but lack direction, and keeping things as they are offers no future. Carrying on feels uncertain, yet switching industries feels like giving up. The closures have hit related industries as well. In Guangzhou's Xingtan town, which is known for garment production, many shops have been forced to close, leaving them available for rent.
Today, I'll take you on a tour around Xingtan town. Look, the streets are busy with cars. Over there is a commercial street. Behind me is a barbershop that's closed. And across the street, many stores are up for rent. Here, you'll find small workshops making denim. There's a high demand for temporary labor, which means a lot of people here are doing day work. Some stores have already closed. Here's a place offering a lunch deal with 2 meat dishes and 2 vegetables for just 10 yuan. Fast food here is very affordable, and many of these places are available for rent or transfer. Fast food competition here is fierce. The street is lined with quick service restaurants, all with the same deal. Nearly all of them are either for rent or for sale, showing how tough business is here. Look, this fast food place offers 2 meat and 2 vegetable options for only 8 yuan. And it even has air conditioning. I haven't seen prices this low in Dongguang. Why is competition so intense here? Because upstairs, there are lots of garment workers and day laborers, and these fast food places keep prices down to attract customers. They rely on volume to stay in business, which is why so many of them can't sustain themselves. Next to us is a commercial complex, but many stores here have already shut down. There's little foot traffic. Even a small supermarket here has closed. Many shops have shut their doors, and those for rent aren't getting any tenants. Some stores used to be rented out, but they closed again due to lack of business. It's just rows and rows of shuttered shops, no signs of activity, and nearly every store is either closed or available for rent.
On November 9th, China's National Bureau of Statistics released data showing that in October, China's industrial producer prices fell by 2.9% year-over-year, while purchase prices dropped by 2.7%. Over the first 10 months, both factory prices and purchase prices fell by 2.1% compared to last year. Earlier, on August 31st, official data showed that factory prices for August fell to the worst level in 14 months, dropping from 46.3 in July to 42, marking a 6-month low and the 4th consecutive month of contraction factory activity. Experts believe this puts pressure on policymakers in Beijing and may indicate that achieving the year's economic growth targets will be challenging. Following this, Chinese media reported more stories about factories struggling to survive and nearing closure. In August and September this year, the investigative team from China's new media outlet Direct Connection visited factories across regions like Zhuji in Zhejiang and Yishui in Shandong. They discovered that many small factories are teetering on the edge, facing a dilemma where they lose money whether they continue operations or stop. Huang, who owns a sock factory in Zhuji, told reporters that orders have been scarce over the past 2 years. He noted that typically demand for fall socks would pick up after mid-August, but this year it hasn't happened. The factory has been operating at half capacity for nearly a month and a half. In the past, they could sell 1,000 to 2,000 orders daily. Now, even the best days barely reach 1,000. New designs are increasingly harder to sell. Previously, launching 10 new designs might yield success for about 5 or 6 of them, but now only 1 or 2 designs take off, while the rest remain unsold. Additionally, nearly every factory is clearing out inventory this year. In past years, it was common for factories to hold hundreds of thousands, even millions of socks in stock. But this year, no factory owner dares to stockpile goods. Zhuji produces 25 billion pairs of socks annually, accounting for 70% of China's market and a third of the global market. Notably, Zhuji ranks 12th among China's top 100 counties and is one of the country's most economically developed regions. If Zhuji is facing these challenges, one can imagine the situation in other parts of China. The investigation also found severe price competition and thin profit margins in the sock industry. Huang explained that earning just 1 cent US per sock is considered a huge profit. Previously, high-end socks had a profit margin of about 10%, but now some margins fall below 1%. Wang, the owner of a typical low-end volume production factory, added, "Each step in making socks earns just a cent. For instance, the sock turning step earns and the toe sewing step another cent, totaling just 5 cents per sock. But if they sell in high enough quantities, say 30 million pairs a year, it can result in an annual revenue of 1.5 million yuan, about $209,000 US. Zhou, who is Huang's neighbor and the owner of a children's sock factory, said that price competition in the sock industry is relentless. He said, "You're never the cheapest. Someone else is always cheaper than you." Beyond raw materials, factors like sock weight, ply count, stitch count, and labor costs are constantly driven down. If there's a 20-gram sock, someone will make a 15-gram sock. If there's a 15-gram sock, someone will make a 14-gram sock. You face a choice: operate at a loss of 2,000 yuan or shut down and lose 4,000 yuan. What would you choose? In any case, to keep workers employed, they keep the machines running even at a lower revenue. At the same time, the widespread practice of copying designs and stealing images has become a significant issue. Sometimes a design starts to gain traction, but before it becomes a hit, counterfeit versions appear. Zhou noted that many competitors have copied product images from his store, offering similar items at lower prices, and even labeling them as 100% cotton. However, when he ordered similar items from them, he found that they didn't match the description, with polyester being used as a cheaper substitute. Locals explained, socks don't have copyright protection, except for Disney-themed designs, which are tightly controlled. Apart from that, most products can be freely copied, leaving original creators with nowhere to turn when knockoffs appear. In summary, many factory owners are acutely aware of one reality. If the machines aren't running, they know they're losing money. But if the machines are running, they also know they're losing money. The point is, without steady production, fixed costs like factory space, machinery, and labor are continuously draining finances. Stopping and restarting production frequently, laying off workers only to rehire them later, and relying on temporary staff who are costlier than permanent workers drives up production costs. Only when machines are fully operational, reaching maximum capacity, can variable and fixed costs be spread out, lowering the average cost as much as possible. As one factory owner put it, it's like being stuck in a state where you can't survive, but you can't die either. If this downward trend continues, factories will be forced to sell products below cost, leading to inevitable losses. Previously, reports indicated that some products had already fallen below their cost threshold. A mooncake factory owner remarked that producing a single mooncake costs at least 3.5 yuan, or 50 cents US, but to clear out inventory, some are sold for as low as 1 yuan, about 14 cents US, an astonishingly low margin. Apart from selling at a loss to clear out inventory, many products are being sold at extremely low prices. To avoid further losses, reducing costs seems to be the only option left. According to reporters, Huang's sock factory is located on the third floor in a space of over 500 square meters. Inside, rows of machines are stacked closely together, 14 machines per group, with a total of 5 groups, making 70 machines in all. The warehouse and Huang's office are also squeezed into the same space. Ideally, 5 workers would oversee the 5 groups of machines, but now only 1 worker remains, and most machines have stopped running. The lone worker, shirtless and sweating, wears headphones with no music playing, simply to block out the loud humming of the machines. In Zhuji's August heat, where the outdoor temperature feels like 40 degrees Celsius, the sock production workshop operates without air conditioning. When asked about the lack of air conditioning, Huang explained that they can't turn it on and can't afford it. The machines need cooler air to maintain the shape of the socks, and running the AC in such a large space would drive up costs. Huang explained that each machine makes him 30 yuan on a good day and only 15 yuan on a bad one. Running 30 machines brings in less than 500 yuan daily, while running the AC would cost over 300 yuan per day, so he can't afford to use it. Another business owner commented that, without sufficient earnings, they're forced to cut costs wherever possible, including labor, utilities, materials, and operational expenses. In a food factory in Yishui, Shandong, the situation is similarly grim. The owner reported that they used to operate 27 or 28 days each month, with occasional night shifts. Now they only manage to run 7 to 8 days per month. Some workers worry about their unstable income. With production lines shrinking, monthly workdays have dropped significantly. Workers who once had nearly full work schedules now find themselves working only 7 to 8 days a month, forcing them to turn to gig work, such as driving for rideshare services to make ends meet. For factory owners, the business is their lifeblood. The owner of a food factory in Yishui shared, "Running a business means dedicating your entire life. It's like swimming in deep water, gambling with everything you have. If you fail, you lose everything, and no one is there to support you." Another food factory in southwestern Shandong originally had grand ambitions to expand into mid to high-end products and retail supermarkets to build a brand. But the factory director quickly realized the difficulty of this path without the necessary resources. Building a brand requires investment in marketing, advertising, and media influence, all of which are costly. After pouring in millions, they found it was a bottomless pit and could no longer sustain it. Eventually, even a manager who frequently came up with new ideas for products left the factory. The owner shifted focus back to producing high-volume, low-end products, abandoning the retail market. Now, the factory's warehouse holds 2 million yuan worth of unused packaging materials for new products, all covered in dust, a reminder of the brand dream they had to abandon. This is a snapshot of the harsh reality facing industries in Zhuji and Yishui, whether textiles or food production. These businesses are deeply affected by the era of low prices. Some may wonder, if profits are so low, why don't these factories just close down? An insider explained that for many factory owners, there's no other choice. Many manufacturing owners report losses every month, but they haven't shut down their factories. Why don't they just close and cut their losses? The reason is, they can't. Many factory owners are buried in debt to the banks. Their production facilities and inventory can't be sold off quickly enough to repay these loans. They rely on a minimum level of operations and income to pay off debt. If they abruptly close, they'll default on loans, which could damage their credit. This is why they keep running the factory, even at a loss, hoping to survive a bit longer. In other words, as long as the factory stays open, they can keep chipping away at their debt. Once it closes, they risk never being able to repay it. That's when banks, clients, and suppliers start knocking on the door, forcing them into a corner with no way out. Some have suggested that these factories could sell their products on popular e-commerce platforms, but the report highlights a significant issue. Small businesses feel mistreated on these platforms. Firstly, many factory owners can't keep up with the platform's rules, which they find overly complex and hard to manage with their limited resources. For instance, after joining an e-commerce platform, a manufacturer might receive a document detailing a variety of hefty fines, but without any guidance on interpreting the rules. The platform holds the power to interpret these rules, so manufacturers only learn about penalties by stumbling into them. The report provides an example. If a shipment is transported to a facility, the transportation costs are already incurred. However, if the goods are rejected for quality issues, a quality penalty is imposed. If the manufacturer chooses to rectify the issue on site, labor costs are often hiked. By the time the issue is resolved, the goods may arrive late to the warehouse, resulting in a late penalty. If the items cannot enter the logistics chain on time, the system may display a stock shortage, and the manufacturer then faces additional out-of-stock penalties. For owners new to e-commerce, these regulations can feel incomprehensible. Some platforms are even stricter, placing immense mental strain on manufacturers. Additionally, if platform prices are set too low, a surge in orders can result in heavy losses. A rice factory owner in Shandong decided to clear out stock on an e-commerce platform. He had only 200 bags of rice to sell, so he dropped the price from 15 yuan per bag to 11 yuan, and finally to 5 yuan, about 70 cents US. The next morning, he discovered that at the 5 yuan price, he had sold 2,000 orders, far more than his 200-bag inventory. Unable to fulfill these orders, he was hit with fines. With an 8 yuan penalty per unfulfilled order, he ended up paying nearly 15,000 yuan, about $2,000 in fines. Workers are the last link in this chain. They lack social insurance and earn about 5,000 to 8,000 yuan, about $700 to $1,115 per month. They rarely complain and often say, "You just get used to it." Even for simple tasks, leg and foot pain are common. One worker shared that he used to wear casual shoes, then cloth shoes, and finally switched to slippers, yet standing all day is still exhausting. The most significant issue is that wages haven't increased in the past 2 years. In Zhejiang, wages used to rise by 200 to 300 yuan, about $28 to $41 annually, but that growth has stalled. Experts believe the root cause is the economic downturn in China. Under the guidance of the Chinese Communist Party, China's capitalism has shifted rapidly from one speculative financial bubble to another. The largest real estate bubble in the world has now become a massive black hole. Meanwhile, China is inflating a new bubble in the manufacturing sector, driven by extensive debt-fueled investments. The structure of capitalism directed by the Chinese government relies on intense competition among provinces and cities, each striving to position itself as a manufacturing hub. This has led to blind, repetitive, and uncoordinated expansion, contrary to the planned development that socialism advocates under public ownership. According to foreign policy columnist Zoe Liu, this will lead to a reoccurring cycle of overcapacity challenges.